why did you even become an indie dev in the first place? Because I ask you this because I've been seeing so many indie developers, like myself included, that are kind of selling out, right? And they're acting just like AAA studios. And so what do I mean by that? Well, AAA has to play it safe, right? They have to, and I mean, it makes sense because, you know, they have investors, right? The investors need their money and they have whole tons of employees and they got to make sure that people are able to feed their families, right? So it makes perfect sense. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it for money at all, but, you know, I'm trying to make a career out of it. I'd like to be rich, but I'd at least like to have a decent career, right? I don't have to be rich, but I'd like to. And the point of indie kind of is to be unique, is to be creative, is to provide an experience that AAA cannot. And yeah, indie games, you know, are generally in genres that AAA does not touch. You know, AAA generally doesn't make like roguelikes, for example, right? Because that's just too niche. But we're seeing a lot of indies act like AAA and just by playing it safe. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying you can't do that. But a lot of players say that the point of kind of indie games, or why they love indie games, is because of the creativity of the individuals behind those games, right? And so I oftentimes see people just make a game in a genre. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now with Idle Gumball Machine. Yeah, it isn't a hot genre, but I do believe in the idea as well. You know, I think it's a good game, like a really good game. But also, you know, like, why did you get into it too? You know, like, did you get into it just to make games in genres that are popular, or, you know, to try to optimize your games to go viral or whatever? Or did you get into it because it's cool, because you wanted to make cool stuff, you know? And it's okay, you know, like, you can still be really excited about maybe not your dream project, maybe it's not the project you really, really, really want to be working on. You can still put a lot of passion and a lot of your soul into it. But if you're just like, oh, I'm gonna make a horror game because horror games go viral, or I'm gonna make an incremental game because those are really hot right now, I would personally pause, right? I just pause and think, okay, am I just doing this for money? And if I am, is there something else I could be doing? But, you know, are you really after a couple grand, or do you want to make something great, right? I think as cheesy as it sounds, you know, following your heart might be, honestly, a better business decision. Making games like that you actually think are cool and think are good, right? Because, I mean, most of my games, I probably, if I saw them on Steam and if I didn't make them, right, somebody else made them, I just would not buy them, okay? I'm Vincent Poteet, and Vincent Poteet, I kind of stuttered that. I don't know. I pronounced that weird. But anyways, thank you for watching or listening, and lick and or subscribe or do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm not your mom, okay? Listen, okay? I'm literally not your mom. Stop calling me mom. That's weird.